I wasn't planning anything dramatic when I walked into the boutique. Honestly, I just wanted to browse, maybe pick out a few ideas for Victor to consider later. A gift, perhaps. The kind of place where the air smells like money and the walls whisper discretion. It was supposed to be relaxing. But then I heard her voice, and my stomach dropped. "Welcome in. Can I help you find anything special today?" Sweet as sugar, but with that sharpness only a woman like her could manage. I turned, and there she was. Anna, Victor's ex. Still gorgeous, still bitter, and now apparently working retail. She smiled, but it was all teeth and zero warmth. "Oh," she said, eyes scanning me like I didn't belong. "It's sweet of you to still wear simple gold. Victor used to say elegance didn't need sparkle." I returned her smile, slow and deliberate. "He changed," I said. "Now he says sparkle looks better on someone who knows how to hold on to a man." I watched her inhale through her nose. Game on. I could practically hear her grinding her teeth, but she nodded like a good little employee. "Of course, right this way." She led me toward the high-end cases, her heels clicking a little too sharply on the marble floor. I followed, slowly, savoring every second. I wasn't in a rush. I wanted her to feel it, the tension tightening between us like a pulled thread. She started showing me pieces, diamond studs, layered necklaces, sapphire rings with price tags that could make someone cry. I asked questions I already knew the answers to. Do these come in white gold? Does the clarity rating affect the sparkle? My voice stayed light, curious, but every word I said was a test, and she knew it. "Oh," I added, examining a bracelet. "Victor will pay for whichever I choose. He insists." I didn't have to look up to feel her bristle. She handled it like a pro, though, sliding the velvet tray toward me like her fingers weren't trembling. I almost admired it. Almost. But bitterness has a scent, and she was reeking of it. The longer I stayed, the more obvious it became. She hated every second of this. Hated me, hated that I had the upper hand, hated the past that clung to us both like perfume gone sour. But she kept smiling, kept describing cut, carrot, and clarity like she wasn't dying to throw the tray at my head. I leaned into it, asking to see more, bigger, pricier. Oh, that emerald piece in the corner. Yes, that one. "It looks like it was meant for someone adored," I said, locking eyes with her. Her jaw twitched before she turned away. "You have an eye," she replied tightly. "Not everyone can wear something so bold." "Victor says I pull off bold beautifully." I smiled, trying not to laugh. It was catty, cruel, and maybe, just maybe, a bit childish. But God, it felt good. After nearly an hour of this emotional chess match, I stood up with a content sigh. "You know," I said, running my fingers down the seam of my coat, "I think I'll come back with Victor. I want him to see the price tag." And just like that, I turned and headed for the door, completely unaware that what would happen next would flip the game on its head. The moment I heard the alarm scream behind me, my heart skipped, but not from guilt, from disbelief. I turned instinctively, eyebrows lifted, trying to piece together what on earth had triggered it. Behind me, people froze. Heads turned. A woman near the counter clutched her purse tighter. And then came the voice. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to stop right there." A security guard. Firm. Professional. I blinked at him, completely stunned. "What's going on?" I asked, already knowing something was wrong, very wrong. Anna hadn't moved an inch. Another guard approached, and the boutique manager came striding over, trying to look calm and in control. "It's just a routine check," he said. "Right, routine. The kind that involves stopping a woman mid-step and flanking her with two guards like she's about to sprint out with stolen loot." My pulse quickened, but I kept my voice steady. "Is there a problem?" I asked, hand still on the door. The manager nodded toward my coat. "Do you mind if we take a quick look?" Now people were really watching. I felt my cheeks flush, not from guilt, but humiliation. Still, I nodded. "Of course," I said. He reached into the pocket, and pulled out a diamond ring I had never seen in my life. And just like that, I stopped breathing. The silence hit first, then the murmurs. Oh my God, did she really? She looks so normal. I stood there, completely still, as if movement would make it worse. The ring sparkled mockingly in his hand, and all I could do was stare at it. I had never touched it, never seen it. But now it was mine, apparently. Anna gasped softly behind me, just loud enough. Her voice floated out like a silk scarf dipped in poison. I don't know how that got there. She was trying on so many... Of course, innocent, helpful Anna. The betrayal burned like acid in my throat. And worse, no one was looking at her. They were all staring at me. The manager asked me to step aside so they could sort things out. Right. That's what they called publicly humiliating someone with a clean record and a wedding ring that said I didn't need to steal. They didn't call the police yet. They just questioned me, poked around my story, asked about what I tried on, where I walked. I answered everything, calm on the outside, screaming on the inside. But one thing was suddenly, painfully clear. I'd been set up, and I knew exactly who did it. I left the boutique feeling like I'd been dragged through glass. No charges, no handcuffs. Just shame. Heavy, clinging shame. The manager had apologized, sort of. Said it was probably a misunderstanding, that these things happen. These things. Like being accused of theft in front of strangers was just part of shopping now. Anna never looked at me again. She didn't need to. Her silence was her victory lap. I got into my car and gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I wasn't crying. Not yet. There's something about being publicly humiliated that goes beyond embarrassment. It's invasive. Crippling. It clings to your skin like smoke. And what made it worse, what made it unforgivable, was that she'd orchestrated every second of it, smiling through it all. Victor called just as I pulled into our driveway. "Find anything you liked?" he asked, cheerful and unsuspecting. I didn't tell him what happened. Not yet, because I knew something Anna didn't. She'd played her hand too soon, and now it was my turn to move. I didn't confront her. What would have been the point? She wanted a scene. She wanted me to unravel so she could play innocent and watch me fall apart in public again. No, I wasn't going to give her that. Instead, I did what women like Anna never expect. I got smarter. The next morning, I made 2 calls. One to a private investigator, and one, under a different name, to the corporate office of the boutique's parent company. They transferred me to someone higher up the food chain. I told them I was a potential investor, interested in their luxury retail footprint. I asked about their security systems, their employee training, their ethics policies. They were more than happy to brag. 0 tolerance for internal theft, strict chain of custody for high-value items, surprise audits, any misuse of their security protocols, immediate termination. I hung up with a polite thank you and a smile that came from somewhere deeper, somewhere colder. The investigator moved fast. Within days, I had files, real ones, nothing dramatic, nothing illegal, just patterns. Anna had been living well above her means. New handbags, spa appointments, dinners in places that didn't match her paycheck. She'd taken out a high-interest personal loan 6 months earlier, then missed 2 payments. Desperate people make reckless choices, and she'd just made hers on camera. It turns out the boutique had top-tier surveillance, the kind that captures every angle in high definition, sound included. My investigator pulled footage from the day of the incident, publicly available to legal counsel or concerned parties if you knew how to ask. And there it was, clear as day. Anna's hand, sliding into my coat under the pretense of fixing the collar she claimed had folded. She even smiled while doing it, a little flick of the wrist, fast and fluid, like she'd done it before, like it was nothing. I paused the video, stared at her face in that moment, and realized this wasn't about a man anymore. This was about power. I could have gone to the police right then, sent the footage, filed a report, let it all come crashing down on her. But something about that felt too easy. She had gone out of her way to humiliate me, to strip me bare in front of strangers. This wasn't just about proving my innocence. It was about making her watch it unravel, slowly. I arranged a meeting with the boutique's regional director. Not as Jenna, the humiliated woman. As Jenna, the woman whose husband happens to sit on 3 corporate boards and plays golf with their investors. I brought coffee, smiled, asked thoughtful questions. Then, toward the end, I mentioned the incident, softly, politely, like I was just seeking clarity. She asked to see the footage. When she did, her face changed, the kind of change that happens when protocol collides with reality. She didn't say much, just nodded and said she'd handle it. But I wasn't done yet. Anna had orchestrated a performance. Now she was about to get an audience she couldn't control. I walked back into that boutique a week later. Same heels, same poise, different energy entirely. This time, I wasn't alone. Victor was by my side, dressed sharp, confused but supportive. And just behind us, the regional director, clipboard in hand, every step deliberate. The air in the store shifted the second we walked in. Customers glanced over, staff straightened up. And behind the counter, Anna froze mid-sentence. She tried to recover, fast. "Oh, Jenna, welcome back. But I didn't respond. I just turned to the manager and said, "We'd like to review the security footage from last Thursday." No theatrics, no raised voice. Just that one sentence, heavy enough to bend the air around us. He hesitated, then glanced at the director, who nodded once. And just like that, we were led to the back office. No one said much. We didn't need to. The monitor flickered to life. There it was again. The moment she stepped toward me with that overly helpful gesture. The smile, the sleight of hand. The flash of diamonds tucked into my coat pocket like it belonged there. And every person in that room saw it. Silence hung in the room after the footage ended. The kind of silence that makes your skin itch. The manager cleared his throat, muttered something about needing a moment, and stepped out. Victor leaned closer to me. "She really did that?" he whispered, still trying to process it. I didn't nod, didn't speak. I just kept my eyes on the screen because I wanted Anna to see it again, with me in the room. They called her in a few minutes later. She walked in trying to smile, but the moment she spotted who was there, her face fell like glass on tile. The manager gestured to the monitor and pressed play. And when it got to that part, she didn't even try to look surprised. Not really. Instead, her eyes welled up and she started shaking her head. "I didn't mean to. I was angry, okay? It was stupid. It was emotional. She stumbled over every word like she was tripping down a staircase. Victor looked stunned. The regional director stayed silent, scribbling something with tight lips. Anna turned to me, breathless, wild-eyed. "Please, Jenna. I didn't think it would go that far." I looked at her for a long second. Not with rage, not with satisfaction, just clarity. Because in that moment, I saw her for exactly who she was, desperate, petty, and painfully small. And that felt far more powerful than shouting ever could. "You tried to destroy me with a trick," I said softly. "But now you're the one who'll lose everything for real." She flinched, like the truth physically hurt. Anna began to cry. Real or fake? Honestly, I didn't care. She begged the manager, pleaded with the director, even turned to Victor, of all people. "I didn't mean it. Please. I need this job. I'll lose my apartment." But no one moved, because when people watch you lie with a smile, they rarely feel moved by your tears. The manager spoke first, voice flat. "You're being terminated, effective immediately." He didn't look at her when he said it. She gasped like the air had been yanked from the room. And I just stood there, not gloating, just finally, beautifully done playing defense. They escorted her out in front of everyone. Customers watched. Employees pretended not to. She kept her head down, but I saw it, the redness in her face, the collapse in her shoulders. There was no power in her anymore, just shame. And strangely, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean, like I'd washed something off me that never belonged there. Word spread quickly. These things always do. A few days later, a friend texted, "Was that the Anna who got fired from Golden Row?" I didn't answer. Didn't need to. But I admit, I did smile. Not because she was ruined, but because I wasn't anymore. Then the messages started. Voicemails. "Jenna, please, I made a mistake. I was angry. Don't press charges." "I lost everything. I wasn't thinking straight. I'm sorry. Please." She sounded hollow in every recording, like someone watching her world collapse and realizing she had no one left to blame. I never replied. Not once. Every message she sent came from a place of desperation, not remorse. She wasn't sorry she hurt me. She was sorry she got caught, and I wasn't going to soothe her guilt just to make myself seem forgiving. Some apologies are just another form of manipulation. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat by the window, and posted something simple. A photo of my hand, delicately holding a cup of espresso, wearing a new ring. Not the one I'd tried on that day. Something even more stunning. More deliberate. Captioned, "The real gems don't need to be stolen. They're earned." I didn't tag her. I didn't need to. Victor saw it later that night. He raised an eyebrow and smiled. "This one's beautiful." "It is," I said, tracing its edge. He didn't ask what happened at the boutique. He didn't need to. Some victories don't need to be spoken out loud. In the end, I didn't ruin Anna's life. She did that all on her own. What I did was let the truth walk through the front door and take a seat at the table. She tried to tear me down with lies and petty revenge. But when you set a trap for someone else, you better be sure you're not the one standing in it. And she never saw the edge until she'd already fallen. I moved on quietly. Didn't mention her name again. Didn't gloat. Didn't replay the footage. I didn't need to. Because there's a unique kind of justice in knowing the person who wanted to see you suffer is now haunted by the sound of her own actions echoing back. She wanted to watch me fall. Instead, she watched her own world collapse. And I never had to lift a finger, just the truth and a little patience. Funny, isn't it? How sometimes the most devastating revenge is simply surviving with your head high.